Dr. Anthony Harper here, blessed to be pastor of the Ukrainian church here in Washington, D.C. And pastor, your full name, your title, and the name of the church?
I'm Father Robert Hutchins, and I am pastor of the Ukrainian Catholic National Shrine of the Holy Family here in Washington, D.C.
Okay. And I know you're aware, and many people are aware lately, of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine and the impact on people. So from your church perspective, being connected to the Ukraine, what are your concerns about what is going on for the Ukraine people, or as well as in Russia?
Well, our sisters and brothers at the current time are suffering horribly in Ukraine. Children have been killed. Civilian buildings, apartment buildings where people live have been bombed and severely damaged. The stress and agony level being experienced by the people when the air raid sirens go off and they have to flee into shelters. Now upwards of 600,000 people have been displaced from their homes and are trying to get across the borders to safer countries of the West, like Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Moldova, Romania. And it's just a horrible, horrible situation that, again, is coming from an outside force. You know, Ukraine didn't pick on anyone. Ukraine's being picked upon by the neighbors to the east, as we say.
Okay. And what's it like for Ukrainian Christians, knowing that there are Christians in Russia that are impacted by all this?
Don't forget, this is not the Russian people. This is the Russian government. And so, you know, our sisters and brothers who are Christian, God-believing, fearing people in Russia, I'm sure, do not agree with what is going on. But, you know, it's a different world in the Russian Federation. Unfortunately, you know, they're told what to do. And it's just a horrible situation that, you know, human beings in 2022 are enduring, you know, persecution and destruction and living under the threat of annihilation. And you know, don't forget that in the history, you know, Christians, whether Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant, evangelical, the Jewish people, the Islamic populations have all been persecuted.
Yes.
And even in recent times, you know, in the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm. I know it's very, very sad about all the persecution. There's a long history on earth of persecution and wars and so forth. I was at one of the Ukraine protests at the White House yesterday. I wonder if you might have known anyone that was attending that.
I mean, I know that there were parishioners of ours there at the White House. I was there on Sunday. And again, we don't call them protests, we call them support rallies, because it's very important that the people of Ukraine see that they have not been forgotten by their brothers and sisters here in the United States. And it's also very important that our neighbors, our brothers and sisters here in the US, know what's going on. And as you know, you can see from footage all over the world, people are standing with Ukraine and praying and doing all kinds of things to support humanitarian relief efforts, which is so very important now. And literally storming the heavens with prayer for peace. And that's what we do when we go, you know, before the White House or at the Lincoln Memorial. We've been, you know, in our churches, which are open for prayer. You know, we just need divine intervention, because that's the only way that hearts are going to be converted, and you know, to follow the command of Jesus: love your neighbor.
Well, I do like that title better, support rally, so much better than the other. But I was at the White House yesterday, and as a Christian, I can't get the press secretary to call upon me about our Christian concerns on this matter, and I couldn't get them to give a specific statement on this issue. Of course, I was at the press meeting and did hear about what the U.S. is doing as far as providing humanitarian aid and other support to people in Ukraine. But what other concerns do you have about way our administration is handling this right now?
Well, we are grateful for the the support that's being given and sanctions that are being applied to the Russian government. And we hope that more will be done. And as a Christian, my major concern now is for the people that are being displaced internally in Ukraine. People have lost their homes. Children have been killed. People are sick, and we hope that again that there's going to be aid sent, in whether that's the meals ready to eat, or in emergency shelters, to help especially those countries there, Poland and Romania and Slovakia and Hungary, that have been taking refugees in. They can't shoulder this all by themselves. And again, the United States, we're a good people, and when people are suffering, every American pitches in. And so, we need the government of the United States to be also focused on that, the tremendous human suffering that is happening.
Okay. Well, I do pray and invite people that watching this to pray for all those in Ukraine, as well as in Russia, our Christian brothers and sisters that are suffering greatly, and so many others. I was, I guess, finally concerned about, what's happening also to the Jewish population in Ukraine. Are you familiar with a Jewish population there?
Well, again, there are historic Jewish communities there in Ukraine. And, there is tremendous cooperation between the Christian communities and the Jewish communities because, we've all endured senseless persecutions and attempts to annihilate our peoples. And so, we all are sisters and brothers. We're all created by God. And, that's what we need to remember to focus on. How do we live, as brothers and sisters in harmony and peace? And that's whether we're Ukrainian, Russian, Jewish, Christian, whatever people are, whatever color they are, and that we all live in peace.
That reminds me of the Declaration of Independence, Pastor Hitchens, of that we're all endowed by our Creator with these unalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
Absolutely. And that's the important thing to remember, Dr. Harper. The pursuit of happiness. The folks in Ukraine, they want to be able to live their lives, to pray as they choose, and to raise their children and live in peace and doing the best that they're able to, and make a contribution to the world. Build up the kingdom of God here and in the one to come.
Yes. Well, Pastor Hitchens, I do appreciate you sharing your concerns about this, and invite people, as I said, to pray for everyone impacted by this, not only Ukraine and Russia, but elsewhere, and pray for the salvation of President Putin. Jesus, I know, calls us to pray for our enemies. And so that would be wonderful and exciting if President Putin had an epiphany. He had an encounter with Christ and repented and stopped this evil, all these evil actions.
We started the season of Lent already in our Ukrainian tradition that followed the new calendar Easter. Our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, they'll be 1 week later, but that we have that whole theme of conversion of hearts, and everybody needs to undergo conversion of heart, and and follow the will of God, which is not to make war, but to live in peace and love our neighbors.
Well, thank you, Pastor Hitchens. It's wonderful to talk with you, and I look forward to talk with you later and to hear about what is going on, praying for those miracles in Ukraine and elsewhere.
Thank you, Dr. Harper, and God bless you and your work. And God bless the people whom you serve there in the Intermountain regions of our country, out there in the Rockies.
In the Rocky Mountain area. Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you. I appreciate
God bless
it.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
We read news every day, news that's informative but rarely encouraging. The Intermountain Christian newspaper aims to change that. They present the news you need to know, from what's going on in your community to your world, with encouraging words, motivation, and the resources you need to make positive changes in your life. What is your local government doing that you need to know about? What's happening in your community you need to be a part of? Whether it's a story from your neighborhood, a national story, or an encouraging word, you'll find biblical issues of everyday life in the Intermountain Christian newspaper. Intermountain Christian News is produced and supported by the work and donations of individuals and churches. You'll find it at churches, Christian bookstores, by subscription, and online at imcnews.org. To find out more about supporting this local resource, go online at imcnews.org or call Intermountain Christian News in Boise, Idaho at 208-703-8688. The Intermountain Christian News, a voice sharing the truth on matters dear to people's hearts.